This is a 2026 Chevy Suburban Z71. And now that fuel prices are higher, does it still make sense to get the Duramax diesel? We're going to discuss that here in a second. I borrowed this SUV from Garff Chevrolet here in American Fork. It is available for sale and it is decked out. Let's go ahead and check out the window sticker so you guys can see some of the options and features. And if you are in the market, be sure to ask for Caden. At the very top is the description, the colors, and then this is a short listing of the standard equipment. Be sure to pause so you can see more. Base price comes in at $73,400, and then here are all the options. So Z71 off-road package is $57.55. Does have electronic limited slip diff, magnetic ride control, air suspension is a part of that package too. And then comfort package does give you the heated second row seats, and you guys see here panoramic sunroof. Duramax diesel was $995 because it is an upgrade over the 5.3. Premium liner package, and then finishing off is the second row bucket seats with power release. Destination is $25.95 for a total price of $85,970, and then here are the fuel economy numbers off to the side. Now that fuel costs significantly more today, I know some people are probably second guessing the diesel option, and I don't blame you. Diesel is significantly more than regular fuel. Now, depending on what engine you're thinking about getting, if you're thinking about getting the 5.3, this is a big conversation to have. However, if you're looking at the 6.2 liter, I think that kind of closes the gap a little bit more so on fuel costs, because I highly recommend if you're getting the 6.2, just burn the premium fuel, right? Now, with that being said, we always have discussions around diesels and how today they do have more emissions equipment. So depending on how you drive your SUV, it's kind of dependent on whether you should still get this option. Now, first thing I will always say is this. If you do a lot of stop and go traffic, or if you are hauling kids to school and you're that parent that's always late, so you're going to sit in that line for 30 to 45 minutes to and from, maybe skip the diesel option, because diesels with the emissions equipment don't do well with a lot of idling because of the diesel particulate filter. So you could get worse fuel economy because it will regen, which means you're going to burn more fuel keeping that filter clean. For those who plan on doing those long drives, that is why you buy this engine option. Long drives on the highway going 60 to 70 miles an hour at a constant speed, this is the SUV for you despite the fuel costs. Now, to go back for a second, if you are someone who does a lot of idling, a lot of stop and go, if you still get this thing on the highway for an hour or more, it will do what's called a passive regen. In other words, the heat from the engine is going to help burn off the soot that gets caught in a diesel particulate filter. Therefore, this is still a good option for those people too, but you have to get this thing hot enough to burn off the soot. Now you guys see on this one too, 20-inch wheels, and I love the parking sensors on the side of the SUV simply because if you are pulling into tight spaces, it will help to make sure you clear the side here. Also, you have these all-terrain tires. Now you guys saw on the window sticker, 24 probably seemed kind of low. Like, man, like 24 on the highway? I've seen a little bit higher than that. Well, four-wheel drive, that's going to obviously reduce fuel economy. These tires, and because of the front end design of this Z71, you are going to reduce that number slightly. Now, I still think that number is conservative. I think you can still get better than what that sticker says, for sure. But despite the design of the front end, the tires, obviously the four-wheel drive system on this, that's going to reduce that number slightly, probably maybe by 1 or 2 mpg. Now, you guys see the red recovery hooks. You do have better protection down below. Most people are probably not going rock crawling with their Suburban, especially the Suburban, because this thing is just too long to go on those types of trails. I think I like the better ground clearance for the curbs. Like you guys know, people don't know how to drive. I'm sometimes included. Sometimes I do it too. But regardless, it does prevent damage on the front end of this thing. Now you guys see right here, engine block heater. That's another option that you get with this Duramax diesel. And the reason why I recommend using this, diesel engines need heat for their combustion. So if you're someone who lives in a really cold climate and you're thinking like, well, do I really need to plug in, because the oil viscosity on this is not as high as it would be like on the 6.6 liter Duramax diesel. So this has a 0W20. I still recommend at least plugging in for 2 hours before you go somewhere. And the reason why is it's going to help the engine heat up a lot faster, therefore getting you better fuel economy. Now, you don't have to plug in overnight unless it's really, really, really cold. But again, you're not really doing it for the oil viscosity, because 0W20, that's going to run through pretty fast. I mean, that's a really, really low viscosity oil. And so I just recommend it for trying to get that best fuel economy right when you start driving. And I also recommend, you know, because some people who aren't used to diesels, if you are plugging in, I recommend that you run the power cord over here. You can use a microfiber towel so you don't scratch your paint. That way, before you leave, you'll see that it's there, and that way you don't drive off with your engine block heater plug. But the biggest advantage to the diesel, this is an inline 6, and it does deliver phenomenal torque. It's going to have 305 horsepower, 495 pound-feet of torque. That is insane. So if you do plan on towing a trailer, when you are getting started, I mean, this thing's gonna have crazy power. Now, obviously, when you're going 65, 70 miles an hour, 305 horsepower is just not a lot. So you're gonna feel like it's slow in the top end. And remember, there's no replacement for displacement. So that V8 is gonna feel stronger, you know, with that 5.3 or even the 6.2. But I like the idea of having the diesel for just that longevity, because diesel engines are more overbuilt, and this is no exception here. Now, they did do updates, so this does have a Denso fuel pump and injector, so very reliable fuel system on this. It does have a 10-speed transmission behind it, and as you guys saw on the window sticker, it does have electronic limited slip diff out back too. So overall, as far as this powertrain goes, it is a pretty good one for fuel economy. Stay tuned. I am going to do a drive video comparing this with a 5.3 liter. I don't know if I'm gonna do it in a Tahoe or Suburban. I have to figure out what they have here in stock, and I'll do a comparison for fuel economy. That way you guys can see the difference between the two. But regardless of it, I do like the overall styling. The air suspension is nice. These fixed running boards, you get more of that rugged look because of the Z71. And the interior isn't too bad. Let's go ahead and flip it around so you guys can see a little bit better with the sun facing it. That's a lot better. Love the leather appointment to the door here. You have like this fake wood trimming, a little bit of satin with that piano black. Seat memories, auto up and down for the front windows, power folding outside mirrors, Bose sound system, and then this one does have a 10-way driver's seat too. I wish there was a premium package for this to give you like the perforated leather and ventilated seats. These are heated, but I feel as though they just need to add just one more package to just make it get all the features that the High Country gets, or add the Z71 a part of the High Country package. I don't know, that might be a good option too. But you have full drive auto, which is nice. Trailer brakes there. You have your lighting controls. You have 360 camera. Also, you can disable your parking sensors, auto stop start. You can turn that off. Traction control, downhill assist, self parking, and then lane keep assist is there. Electronic parking brake, did I mention that already? All your drive modes with your air suspension are included there. More of that wood trimming, more leather wrapping on the dash. No heads-up displays available for this one. Again, that's why I think they should add like a premium package for this. But I do like the black headliner there. You guys see how they really make the interior look great, matching it all together. You have this warm white for the vanities there. I always like how GM does this too. So let's go ahead and put it in accessory mode. But yeah, you can slide this back, and I love that. You offer a little bit of storage below, right there. And I always mention this, when my wife had the big purse when our kids were younger, she would smack it here and it would sit perfectly. You can slide this out over top of it in most cases. So I like the design of this. This is well thought out. Now let's see, how much space do you have if that's all the way back all the time? And you're not gonna be able to go across, but yeah, there's still really good, you know, space on each side here. This one also has the screens in the rear. No curtains, but still soft touch on the door. Out back, USBs. You have one on each side. Those are type C's. Place for a bottle holder. You guys see those liners on the floor go all the way back to the third row. And this is a 60/40 bench. Arm rest here. And then these second row seats are heated. USBs, HDMIs. And there's that twin panel. Let's go out back and see what's behind the third row. This is why you buy the Suburban. I don't even have to put down the third row because look at how much space you have. This is insane. The thing is huge. Have an all-weather liner back here. Great storage. So there is your engine block heater plug. So this plugs into the SUV up front, as you saw. So it looks like. And then you will basically plug this side into your house or wherever you're going to plug into, your garage, whatever. And then that way, as I said, you can run this over the mirror. That way you don't forget about it, because believe it or not, a lot of people forget about that plug. I mean, I will be honest to say I've forgotten about it a couple times too. But yeah, look at all that space. That is insane. Crazy. Now, they do have a light right there. No lights on the back of the lift gate. And you did have a 120 volt power plug. You can drop the second row from here too. They do hide the hitch. And remember, right below this end, you can't pop the glass still. And I like how they did this black trimming in the rear. It looks nice. Now on the passenger side, you guys see it has smart key system front and rear. This has, I always forget, this has a 10-way seat on this side too. Love the appointment on this side, all soft touch. And I always point this out because over time, when you have a bunch of hard plastic on the dash, with the sun hitting this over time, it starts to creak and rattle. I feel like when you have a soft touch, it does reduce that compared to hard plastic. That's why it's worth noting. All right, let's just quickly go through these screens. Push button starts right there. Now this is a 17.7 inch screen. And I believe it's like this might be like an 11 or 12 inch screen here. Now, one thing I want to show you guys, I don't remember seeing this last year, and it's very possible I just missed it, but you guys see here, you can now disable the reverse auto braking on the fly. In the past, you had to go through the screen to find that disable, and you always forget about it. And that system is very aggressive. So when it does hit the brakes, it doesn't work well in my opinion. So I would probably keep mine off. But regardless, if you don't like it, you can turn it off from there. And then you can turn it back on in some cases too. So 360 camera, wireless chargers down there. You can still control the climate control outside of the screen. And just in case you guys can see some of the lighting. Is that a camera? Man, they got cameras just looking at you. That's crazy. Also, you can close the screen for that twin panel. You can also customize the screen. I do like that they give you your gauges here. This is nice. So if you are towing a trailer, or if you are finding yourself going off-road, you can just monitor some of that. Some of your maintenance items are in here. So your tire pressure, brake pad life, engine air filter life, a lot of good stuff there. And trip information, you can push this over to this screen. This screen also just has one button to control. So if you want full screen navigation, that's right there. Also, a few other menus that they give you. Kind of like a clean screen. Now if you want to push this, let's say you want the fuel economy over here, you can add to driver display and have that always active right there. And I just did that by pushing on that screen. Up here, you have your auto park assist. Child safety locks can be turned on very quickly. I like that. You have more controls. Your home link system is now inside of this, so you have up to 8 now. And see your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay settings. There's so much on here that you can set up. Your heated seats are right there. And then your heated steering wheel buttons right there. Let's go ahead and check out the numbers on the door, and then that will pretty much end this video. Gross axle weight rating out front is going to be 3,800 pounds. The rear is 4,300 pounds. Gross vehicle weight rating is 7,700 pounds. 20/9 wide wheels. And here is the payload capacity, 1,307 pounds. This can tow up to 7,800 pounds. Gross combined weight rating is 14.5. And then tire pressure is 35 PSI all the way around. That's the other advantage to obviously off-road, is the tire pressure on these. You can run these a little bit lower. This is a 275/60 tire, 20-inch wheel, 6 lug. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the upload I do for comparing these for fuel economy. See you guys soon.